BSN. Finish first. Today on MMA 101.
Conditioning, endurance training, cardio, whatever you want to call it, it is that one thing you have the most control over. If you do the proper training and you do it consistently, it's not just doing it, but do it consistently, you'll be able to perform so much better.
And you know, I kind of quit and tried to become a professional fighter at that point.
Conditioning, endurance training, cardio, whatever you want to call it, it is that one thing you have the most control over. You know, obviously you can't make your arms longer. You can get yourself in better shape. It's also the one place where you can really test yourself against yourself. If you do the proper training and you do it consistently, it's not just doing it, but do it consistently, you'll be able to perform so much better. Break it up in increments that are doable, and then just try to achieve that, you know, to where you're doing something, to where you're moving forward, as opposed to making it overwhelming. And that's where you'll develop a lot of the mental toughness. So when you think, I'm tired, I don't want to do this anymore, it sucks, that's where you're gonna, you know, learn to push past a little bit to overcome when things do become, you know, difficult. Another thing about strength and conditioning is I look at training for a fight kind of like the food pyramid. You know, you really want to be doing your boxing and your wrestling and your jiu-jitsu. These are the most important blocks. The conditioning is actually up here, and then on top of that would be the mental preparation. I like to do conditioning last. You want to do your skill work before your grunt work, if that makes any sense. You know, you want to work when your body's fresh and fast and hit your mitts or wrestle or do your jiu-jitsu. And then the last thing in the day, however your workout schedule may be, that's when to do your strength and conditioning. No, you're not going to be as strong and as fast as you could be, but you'll push past the barriers that you think you have mentally, and you'll overcome your exhaustion, your fatigue, and that's kind of the way it's going to be when you perform.
I got a call out of the blue, said, you know, hey, do you want to come do this show? And I didn't know anything about it, and it was the first Ultimate Fighter.
MMA 101 is brought to you by Synthesix, the official protein beverage of the UFC.
God, I'm a son of a bitch, man. I don't want to be. And I'm a really bad driver, too. That is probably the worst thing about me, is I am a horrible driver. One time, I was actually at a four-way stop, and I really did have the right of way, and this guy intentionally pulled out in front of me, and then we're like angling, like he's going this way and I'm going this way, and we get to like where we like stopped each other. I run out of the car, jump over my car, run up to the door, in my head I'm laughing because I see his wife grabbing him as he's starting to come out his door and scream at me, and he hops out and he looks at me and he goes, "You're Forrest Griffin." And I just looked at him and I was totally taken aback, and I was like, I am Forrest Griffin and I'm a horrible driver, so watch out. I jumped back in my car and drove off.
Forrest, let's go back to 2004 when you were just graduating college. You were a police officer in Augusta, Georgia. You were making good money, making a good living. You decided to leave it all behind and make your living in mixed martial arts. Why did you make that decision?
Yeah, well, actually, in 2001, I was a police officer in Athens, Georgia, and you know, I think 2002 actually, I was fighting, and you know, I kind of quit and tried to become a professional fighter at that point. And, you know, 2 or 3 years later, I really just hadn't made it. I had more hospital bills and paychecks, and you know, so I sort of gave up. Fortunately, I broke my arm in a fight, and I think that's the only reason why I actually finished college, is because I couldn't do anything for quite a while. So I did end up finally finishing college, and then I went and became a police officer for about 13 months the second time. And I got a call out of the blue that said, you know, hey, do you want to come do this show. And I didn't know anything about it, and it was the first Ultimate Fighter, so it wasn't, you know, kind of what you perceive it to be now. Well, this is a great thing to do. We didn't know, and at one point the producers didn't know if it would ever see the light of day. They didn't really know. It was all sort of uncharted territory. So I took a chance. I did it. You know, my thought process was better to regret the mistakes you made than you know, the chances you didn't take. So I went with it, and it turned out pretty good for me.
Next week on MMA 101.
There's a couple schools of thought on weight training for mixed martial arts. Mixed martial arts is a newer sport, so there's no definitive way to train weight-wise for mixed martial arts.